Hello, hello, and welcome to our sixth episode here at Educate Her Collective, where we are going to discuss those hot topics going on in education, which happens to be right now getting ready for standardized testing. So, today we're talking about that testing triangle. We're going to talk about winning tips for the whole team. How can we as educators do the best to make the perfect environment for our students and for ourselves? How can we make the best environment for the students by also involving the parents? So let's talk about the best ways that we can do this so that we have that testing triangle big win. So, no matter what state you're in, every state has some form of standardized testing that we're now preparing for, or at least thinking about, because in New Jersey, where we are, it's coming upon us in May. And it is that beast that can sometimes be difficult to tame. Now, depending on your building, some buildings don't put a lot of pressure on the test. The administration is so calm and collective, and that trickles down to the whole environment. Other buildings, you could cut the tension with a knife. It's so high stress, and the anxiety you can feel the moment you walk into that building. Now, you can't change everybody, but how, as educators, can you help yourself get through the test? So that's the lens I kind of want to look through right now. As a teacher, what can I do so that I can feel comfortable and ready, help my students and everybody else I work with? So, a few things I really suggest doing. Communicate. Get out there and talk to people who's given the test 20 times. Go talk to them. Ask them what their best piece of advice is, or the one mistake they made that they'll never make again, because we can all learn from mistakes. I know one mistake I made very early on when cell phones weren't super popular the way they are now. And we were told to collect the students' cell phones and just hold on to them in our desk. Okay, no problem. And I gave back the cell phones when the tests were collected because they were allowed to have them, which still is interesting to me. But anyway, I gave them back after I had collected the tests. Well, I ended up getting in trouble because I was supposed to wait until the tests were collected from my room. So be real careful, especially with electronics. Nowadays, that probably would have been an even bigger issue if I had electronics in the room. So make sure you know what your school's policy is, and not to just maybe take and hold the electronic, but make sure it's not even a part of your room. So that would be my tip. I would say every electronic goes right back to their lockers. I ask the students, because I'm so tense about them having electronics, flip their pockets inside out. I have them show me, put their hand inside their hoodie. Sometimes I ask them to take their hoodies off if they have a shirt underneath. We don't allow them to bring Chromebook cases into the room. So try and remember and learn from somebody who's given this test 20 times. Ask. Not only just somebody who's given it 20 times, because somebody who's given it so much, sometimes like, you'll be fine. Don't worry, hun. It'll be great. That's when you need to go find somebody who's given it only like 5 times, because they have the background, they have the experience, but they're not so, oh, what's the word, ladies? They're not just so nonchalant, like, forget about it. It'll be fine. So really like vet your audience, go through. I, as a teacher who's been there for 25 years, still will do this. I'll talk to a few people. Hey, do you remember if we did this or this? Because over the years, you sometimes forget. So as a veteran teacher, go talk to some other people and remind yourself of what are the protocols. If you are brand new, please talk to multiple people. Go out, ask some questions. Like I said, ask some new teachers, ask some older teachers. Make sure any meeting that your administration has about testing, you are there,
Mhm.
you're listening, you're taking some active notes. But at the same time, remember, as long as you are actively participating in them taking the test, meaning your eyes are open, your phone is off away and not visible like anywhere, and that you are actually moving around and monitoring, you are doing everything you need to do. And also, make sure you only read that script. I'm sure we've all heard of people who sometimes veer off into their open path of their own. There is no open path during testing. Read your script, and if there's a question, go back and reread the exact answer that's going to, or the exact sentence that's going to answer their question. When they're like, can you help me? And I'll reread from the directions where it says no help will be given. So those would be my best tips for educators. Communicate, make sure you communicate clearly, and talk to some other colleagues. So Allison, how about like the parents? What should they know about this testing time?
Excellent question. So, especially as children are entering third grade, when at least in New Jersey, that's when state standardized testing starts. Something that parents probably want to keep in mind is just making sure that their children get a good night's sleep the night before. And I know it's in May when we have sports and all sorts of things going on, but at least just to tuck it in the back of their mind. And it's not just because, oh, we want great scores. It's really because it's very taxing. The whole day is a very taxing day. And if you're doing it for 5 days straight, it's a lot. And the building schedule is switched and flip-flopped. I know in my building, the children that normally have specials in the morning are testing in the morning, so they have specials in the afternoon. The whole building's kind of upside down. So just making sure that everyone sleeps well the night before, also has a solid breakfast. If your school offers breakfast, maybe encourage your child to take advantage of that too. Because just getting the nutrition that they need in order to get through 2 or 3 hours of testing in the morning, it's a lot, especially if you're, 9 or 10 years old. And then another thing just to keep in mind is that when your child comes home, so some children absorb the anxiety of the building, and if it is made more of a big deal in their school, they might be scared and they might be concerned and they might be worried about what this is, especially if they're high achievers or children that just tend to be more anxious in general. Just talking to your child and telling them, listen, everyone is just going to do the best they can. There is no, you're not going to get gold stars at the end of this. This is just truly to see how much you've learned since September. And that's it. Just that. So I think that making sure that parents understand that that the home front also needs to be like calm and peaceful, and the messages being sent there are easy on the child. I think that would be very helpful. So then I'll pass it off to you, Melissa, because you have such an important perspective on the person taking the test, the student.
Yeah, and as I was listening to what you were saying, it's so important that parents know, because I then tell my students, it's not going to keep you from going to the next grade. It's not going to go on your report card. If you are a special education student, your scores are not part of your IEP. And the test is going to have questions that you might find really easy. And it might have questions that you've never seen before and you don't know how to answer. And that's okay. I just tell my students to do the best you can. And just like you were saying, Jen, at least in New Jersey, we are not allowed to see the test at all. So when we are actively monitoring, we can't look at your screen, I say to the kids. So I can't help you. And I know that goes against everything we do in this class, that I'm always here for you. So I would encourage teachers to say to their students, I want to help you, but it's a legal thing. I can't do it or I will get in trouble. And I was thinking about what you were saying, Jen, about how important it is to follow the rules. And when the park came out 15 years ago, and it was our first year, I didn't realize when I started the test, one of my students was out. So it looked like we didn't have an option of shutting him off, or I didn't know it. And my curriculum coordinator who's in charge of testing had to call the state to be able to get him to be able to take it again. So just know that mistakes happen on the grown-ups part, and someone who's been teaching forever didn't even realize that an absent student looked like they had taken it. So it's okay. Just do the best you can. And for the teachers out there, I teach a lot of stretching. I teach them because they're going to be typing. I teach them all kinds of different stretching, and they're allowed to do that during the test. And kids who seem really tense, I actually take them through a relaxing meditation. And just know that the other thing I would say to teachers is don't teach new content after the test because the kids are exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give homework and don't teach new content because whatever you teach will go in one ear and out the other. This is the time to make projects for your spring bulletin board or read really fun books. I have the kids bring board games in. We have a board game afternoon. Take them outside. Their little brains, or even the older kids, are going to be exhausted. I know when my own teenagers would come home, they didn't want me to talk to them. They were exhausted from all those hours of testing. So we have to take care of that whole child. So as long as everyone you're working with is on the same page that we want the kids to do well, but we can't help them, that the parents are at home making sure they're getting a good night's sleep and eating, and we are there to say to the student, just choose your best answer. That's all you can do.
I love it. Great advice, ladies.
Yeah.
Great advice. Make sure that we're, thinking about that whole team. How can this whole team work together? And what is the best for everybody? Trying to keep it calm and peaceful. State the importance of it. I mean, some people, it is important to some people, and that is fine. But make sure in the same breath you give some options for those mindfulness, those stress relievers. I'll be doing some of that
Yeah,
stretching. I love it.
that's a great
Yeah, I've got some good
idea.
ones. I'll teach you later. Oh, and one of the other things I tell the kids is the whole reason they want to know why we take this test. And I tell them that they are comparing your grade to all the other kids in your grade in your state, in your county, in your country, and with the world. And a lot of parents will say, well, it's on the teacher's evaluation too. And some states have that, but it's really, like you said, Allison, about how much did that child learn this year and how can we compare what they learned to other states? And is there something we can change in our curriculum to teach them something specific in a better way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing that happened last year that I know in our building is the Chromebooks weren't charged as much as they should have been.
Right.
So just making sure that all of your technology is set and ready to go, and that goes along with and updated. And that goes along with what you were saying, Jen, with making sure that you're taking notes and that you're following through on all of the things that you're told to do, because there's a packet and a lot of information for a reason.
That's right.
Information. You know what I learned last year, and this was the first time I teach in an older school. I mean, it's been there for almost over 50 years. There's literally like one plug in the front of the room, one plug in the back. Like there's not a lot of outlets. It's not. So one thing is my husband loves those external chargers. I brought in every external charger from my house because I knew some of my students wouldn't be prepared, and it gave them just enough charge, and the charge could be right on their desk with their Chromebook. So there's a
So
little
smart.
tip. Bring in at least one or two of those. If you have them laying at your house, bring them into school for the week so that you can do that quick charge for the student that may forget. But then they don't have to move out of the whole seating and change the seating in the entire room.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you gained some value out of what you saw here today. Next month, we're really going to focus on gratitude. How can you show gratitude during Teacher Appreciation Week or
Mm-hmm.
gratitude for Mother's Day? May will be our month of gratitude. So hopefully you tune back in, and everybody, good luck with your testing.